Hello and welcome back to Heroes of Might and Magic 2. My name is FixFox and I'm excited to bring to you here today a playthrough of Pyramid. Pyramid is one of my all-time favorite maps here in Heroes of Might and Magic 2, and the reason being is that it has a lot of opportunity for some speed running prowess because you can get some really ridiculous times if you go in with a really cool strategy. But if you muck around, or if it's your very first time, you're going to have a really bad time because it's you against 3 enemies in increasing levels of difficulty, starting off with Barbarians, then into the Necromancers, and then into the Warlocks. But what happens if we get a really nice fast start and just cruise right through all of these? We're going to be starting off as the Barbarians, so we get the opportunity to have some pathfinding in the desert, which is going to be critically important. And as you can tell here, I'm hitting new game a couple of times. What am I looking for here? Number one, I'm looking to see if I can find a scenario that's going to have 3 Barbarians as the start. So we're going to be looking for 1 Barbarian that we start off with, and then 2 Barbarians in the tavern. You could mess around a little bit. You could try and make something with a Warlock work out okay for you. What I found is best case scenario is 3 Barbarians. We've currently got that. It's going to be Jacqueline the Barbarian's going to start off, hitting the Oasis, grabbing a little bit of gold and the gold mine. That's going to be a very successful day 1. It is possible that you get just a little bit less gold than you ought to. You're going to need about 5,000 gold by the end of day 2. And so what do you need? You need, well, the 2,500 gold for this second Barbarian hero, who can then go to this treasure chest. In this case, they get the 1,500 gold, and that's not enough. We have 2,400 gold remaining, and so we've got to take Jacqueline over here to pick up this campfire for 500 additional gold. But that gives us 3 heroes here in this very first week. That goes an awful long way for us, not to mention the 3 heroes, but you also have the 13 orcs and you got the 60-some goblins. These forces should be enough to help you go on down. Now, there are some lucky breakpoints in this playthrough. Right now is number 1. In the event that the Barbarian player that we're up against goes right into the Alchemist lab there, then you're not going to get a free castle. If they do not go for the Alchemist lab, then you are going to pick up a free castle because you're going to bypass their vision of you. They're not going to see you. Of course, this being played on FHeroes2, the AI is not omniscient, and that does actually work in your favor. I think that some of the Pyramid speed runs are somewhat invalid here on FHeroes2 as opposed to the original Heroes of Might and Magic 2 Gold. These do play very differently. However, a good score is a good score wherever you get that. Here's another 2,500 gold, and here's the important part. You think that we got Phineas here as this main kind of hero. He is not. Phineas has just enough movement points to get out of the way, and ideally you'd be able to go to the west and pick up a gold mine, but I'm anticipating that there's going to be a green hero over in that direction. So instead, he gets out of the way. We have 2,500 gold. We use whatever gold we have left, and thankfully the enemy got us a marketplace in this playthrough. And we're going to use that gold in order to go through our enemies to the east, up the road. And there's a huge other breakpoint. So breakpoint number 1 for luck. We've already gotten a free Barbarian castle. That's huge. Not a small thing at all. Number 2 is the Guardians here, getting you from cracked earth into the grassy terrain. You can have elves or grand elves, and if you do, the run is dead. Don't even try. It's killed, it's over, it's done. Boom. You could also get something like ogres. Ogres have a little bit too many hit points for what we're trying to deal with here. Honestly, the very best draw you can get is boars. I've seen a pack of boars at this point, and if you get a pack of boars, you're having a really nice time. You're going to be able to get through this section with no problem. These pikemen, not going to be as big of an issue, and especially because we were able to pick up Mandigal with more than 2 boars, at least 2 boars. But then we were actually able to sacrifice some of these halflings, and we're able to have a nice fight where we are allowing our defensive troops to just kind of cover for our shooters. The 12 orcs are not meant to necessarily carry this entire game for you, but they are going to be potentially important to go on to the next objective. The objective number 1, of course, is to go through the Barbarians. We have not eliminated the Barbarians. We've eliminated 1 hero and we've taken their castle. There's still 1 Barbarian hero somewhere left on this adventure map. But then after you've done all this, then you need to go north, and then you need to go through at least 1 of the Necromancer castles. There's one that is closer along the road into the northern territories, closer into the Warlocks territory, and so that's the one that I go to. I go to the Necromancer castle to the east, but there is another one to the west. I've determined that you need to take 1 of those castles if you're going to be fairly successful. Right now we've got just minimal troops there in Westmore. There's not a lot here, but these goblins are hopefully a little bit of an opportunity to hold the castle. We hit end turn and the enemy does not show up. They are not in our face, and that does us mighty fine. Very happy for it. But here's the issue, folks. This is the issue. We are going to be officially one full day behind where I would like to be, and that's because Flint here does not have the speed to get out of the castle. You cannot dismiss a hero who is currently in a castle, and so he's just going to have to stay here. I would love to hire another hero. I would love for him to get out of the way, dismiss him, and have another hero go on up the way to go and try and track down one of the warlock castles to the north, but unfortunately this is just kind of what we're working with here. And so that actually kind of gives us an opportunity to spend a little bit of extra gold to make sure that we don't lose Westmore. That does go pretty well for us in this playthrough. We don't really realize how good of an opportunity this is until later, but eventually we will realize that, you know what, holding on to this barbarian castle, it does tend to be a pretty big game changer. Insofar as I'm aware, there's very few things that are more important. Now, worth noting that we're not building up any of our castles really. At this point, we have two really nice castles that are barbarian quality, and then one that is of the necromancer variety. We are not looking to make upgrades. We're not making any purchases. We are just devoting all of our excess gold into the troops that come with new heroes. Heroes give you additional flexibility on the adventure map. They let you pick up additional resources. They have their own little movement points tied to them, and they do come with a small pittance of troops. Overall, this is the strategy. The strategy is not to build up the forces, but to really fight this really quick war before the enemies have any chance to come upon you. Yeah, you just want to fight quickly and then scurry on to the next objective. And so at this point, it's going to be Flint. Flint is carrying on up to the north. Now, notice here that this archer's house, there is a group of archers with a desire for greater glory. We do not pick them up. We do not want to be only 2-speed creatures is our slowest creature. That will slow you down on the adventure map. But we're going to stay there on the archer's house. We're just going to wait there overnight, and we're just going to hold on for just 1 second so we can move on later. We do defeat green here with the ogres. That is quite a big of a investment, in my opinion, the 2,000 gold plus the cost of the actual troops, so the dwelling and the troops. But because we're able to pick up that gold mine here, it feels like it'll be mitigated. The damage to our coffers, that is going to be mitigated. We're going to pick up Castor here. He's simply going to be a scout, and we're going to use his troops to sort of try and hold on to this necromancer castle. In this playthrough, the longer you can hold on to these castles, the more gold that's going to generate for you, and potentially that's going to take some of the necromancer pressure off of some of your other forces. We've made all of our movement points, and in case you haven't noticed, we are getting to the point where we are almost at the beginning of a new week. Beginning of a new week, that is a pretty critical deal, because in the event that you're not able to get at least one warlock castle to the north, then you can guarantee you're going to have 2 weeks of dragons from upwards of 3 warlock castles coming down your way. All of a sudden you can go from 0 dragons that you have to contend with up to 9, and that is, I don't know about you, but more than I want to deal with right now, that is for sure. So we got some peripheral troops. I know that there's resources out here in the desert, in the cracked earth. We're going to go grab that wherever we possibly can. But it is Flint who's got to head north. And folks, this is a big luck moment. What is this going to be? It's going to be Ogre Lords as this upcoming fight. Believe it or not, that's actually not too bad for me. I like that we've got the bless. I like that we got the stone skin. We're probably going to be blessing these 24 archers that we just picked up from the archer's house. It is possible. I've definitely seen the necromancer players step on the archer's house and take those quality troops from you. But because we're able to get through this fight fairly easily, I want to say fairly quickly, but fairly easily, I would rather say, this is going to go pretty darn well for us. However, 4-speed creatures, this is a lot of HP. That's 240 hit points for the top 2 stacks, and it's 180 HP for the bottom 2 stacks. As was 360. That's a lot of HP. That's a lot of damage that we got to put out. And believe it or not, this is actually one of the more tricky fights, because you can have anything from greater druids here to, I've actually seen crusaders. I've seen some of the low-level, high-quality creatures. And the fact of the matter is that this is a randomized playthrough. Like, from playthrough to playthrough, you can get some pretty random choices and enough bad luck to really kill a run. There's some good luck. The boar survived with 1 HP. So we are going to finally kind of let these orcs go. It's very unfortunate. Hate to see it. But the 24 archers, they are going to be the quality stack here. I'm going to get this one boar out of the way. Don't want to lose the 2-hex creature just in case they end up being valuable at a later date. So off they go, and this is the first of many instances of bad morale that we're going to see. However, At no point are these archers going to lose their turn due to poor morale. It's actually a pretty amazing fight because there's so many opportunities for things to go so very wrong for you. And in a lot of cases, they do go wrong. They go wrong for the other units on this battlefield, but not for the power stack. I'm checking this out. The goblins, they can do up to 90 damage. If I attack with the Bless, then when that top group of ogres goes down and attacks the archers, we're going to be able to kill them with retaliation. So a little bit of a calculation there that, yeah, we'll take a little bit of damage, but we'll put out even more. And then the boars can step back. See, I told you that 1 HP boar would actually be valuable at some point. And so a stone skin on the goblins, I think you can tell that this is going to be a win of a fight. But the question is going to be, are we going to have enough forces left over by the end of this fight? I submit to you that we're going to come upon maybe our final barrier of luck in just a moment. And the final barrier of luck will be whether or not the yellow player will have scouted to the south or if they will have gone to the east. Now, if they go to the south, they can probably see you right about here. Due to the scouting ability of the warlocks, they can probably see you. But we're hoping that they do not hold us in high regard. We are hoping that they just kind of like let us go, and maybe they assume that we're not going to be able to catch up to their castle there in the darkness. Maybe they hope that we can't see that. And you also have to hope that the enemy has purchased at least up to a red tower in this most eastern castle. Now, you haven't quite seen the castle, so we're about to get our very, very first look at it in just 1 second. Of course, this is maybe this spot right here probably cost me 1 full day. Yeah, this fight and losing this bastion of strength, I think it actually does cost me more than 1 full day, because the purple necromancer is going to go through these forces. They are going to take this castle. I'm not going to be able to hold it. And then what ends up happening is that they've got 2 castles with which to kind of split their forces up, and then I got to go track them down at a later date. It doesn't feel particularly good to me to have to go track people down when I just want to catch you. Just let me end the fight as early as I can, but that'll be for a later date. At this point, you're saying to yourself, FixFox, you're going to end this game with what army, right? Well, sorry, I might have ruined it just a little bit, but trust me, we've got an army here on this day 7. So month 1, week 1, day 7. This has been an exceptionally good playthrough. We've gotten everything that we really wanted for it. We started off with the Barbarians, all 3 of them. We were able to get that Barbarian castle over here. Good luck there to make sure that there was no problems. We could just waltz right in. We got good luck in the Guardians between the cracked earth and the grass. We got good luck in the Guardians between the grass and the snow heading north. Like, really, this is a really nice playthrough. And then here's again one of those final bits of good luck. And there it is, red tower. Even 1 red dragon is going to go very, very far for us. This is not typical behavior. This is, let me say that again. This is not typical behavior. If you feel like, oh, I can just replicate this at any point, I would encourage you to actually try it shot for shot and piece by piece, just to see how your playthroughs might differ. Hopefully this is actually a fairly consistent type of way of completing the scenario in a fairly quick amount of time. I hope it's fairly consistent, but the problem is that by consistent, I would consider that to be a success rate of 5 to 10%, which I suppose for any kind of speedrunning game is actually ridiculously high. If you talk about the speedrunning community at large for any game, typically there's some exploits or some really good luck and skill-based moments that make it so a successful top run is really requiring some things to go quite your way. This is maybe a good foundation to build off of. I don't think that this is maybe the very fastest that anybody can go. In fact, I know that just today I did this particular speed run a little bit faster, and we're going to see that at the very, very end. But for now, I'm happy with the fact that we picked up a couple of dragons. We're going to start using hero chains to try and get our forces up to the front. We got the necromancers in the grass kind of coming south into the barbarian territory. We are using marketplaces to trade, and we actually purchased an additional marketplace in our very first starting castle just to make sure we could trade the very, very best that we possibly could. And we're dumping everything except for the sulfur. We've got 3 dragons here, 10 of the gargoyles. Croto is going to be the secondary hero, and he's going to get those troops on over to Mandagal. Mandagal, or rather Flint, is just a little bit closer to the front. So let's send all these forces over. Let's have Flint just split off these gargoyles into single stacks. You never know when a single stack could be the difference between a win and a loss. And meanwhile, Croto's going to pick up these forces. Not too sure what to do with Croto at this point. On the one hand, you don't want to send him south because those forces aren't enough. On the other hand, you don't really want to send him to the west because there's too many powerful enemies here. But we see Vesper with a couple of green dragons. Okay, all right. We will try to stay away from them. And then we also see this castle here that we are deciding to fight. We got Mr. Rathmont the Warlock here staring us right in the face. The whole goal here is to lose as few gargoyles as possible, but I think we can all tell that 4 red dragons at this point, it's not going to be too difficult to actually win this fight. Really, though, we are thinking about this upcoming fight that we're about to deal with. In just a moment or two, we are going to have to deal with Vesper with those green dragons, and that might be the biggest test. If you lose this original kind of starting fight against the Warlock strength, then you do tend to have some issues. So we got Wisdom, Estates. We will take the Wisdom at this point. Fountainhead does not have another dragon tower, so we cannot get some additional forces. And you got to decide, do you really want to fight this fight at this point? And the answer is yes, but here's a trick that we try and use here. So we're looking at this and we say, do we want to do a wizard on warlock fight? And we say to ourselves, well, what if we use a Crag Hack the Barbarian with 3 attack, 1 defense? What if we actually buff our dragon's capabilities with a knight or with a barbarian? We'll even throw in a spell book there for good measure. Not to mention a couple of these gargoyles. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. And in that way, we're going to get a pretty nice advantage for us. 3 additional attack is not a small thing. That is, in and of itself, a Dragon Sword of Dominion, which I consider the Dragon Sword of Dominion artifact to be particularly good myself for the +3 attack. So yeah, Crag Hack here. It's a small change, but this potentially, I think, quite frankly, this potentially saves us at least 1 or 2 dragons. And so, yeah, glorious victory. We will take it. Note that my red dragons have 5 speed versus the 4 speed of the green dragons. We're going to use the single gargoyle stack to toast the minotaurs with the flame breath attack of the green dragons. And yeah, let's just try and keep these gargoyles alive for as long as they can possibly stay alive. It's going to be 4 red dragons. We take out 1 green dragon immediately. The battle simulator indicated that we were not going to lose any forces. At least no dragons. And at this point, it's highly unlikely. If it's even possible, it's highly unlikely. We're not even fighting with these gargoyles. We don't want to lose any of them to a retaliation. It's kind of useless at this point. The enemy is nice enough to give us the 1500 experience, and that level up is actually going to provide us with pathfinding. So if we need to go off-roading, we can do that very, very quickly. That feels great. We have a choice here. We don't have much gold at the moment, but I mean, it's possible that we can do just enough of a defense here to stay alive, and maybe we can even use some of these forces on a hero tomorrow to go out and pick up some additional resources. We are really just trying to just push our way through this scenario, absolutely force the issue, make the enemy regret being slow or indecisive in any which way. Even Jacqueline here is going to be a little bit aggressive. She's going to grab this campfire really quickly, even though it might put her in a little bit more danger than I would prefer. So she's going to grab that campfire. It's only going to be like 400, 500, 600 gold. But even so, trying to squeak out every single advantage we possibly can get at this point. There you are, my dear. 400 gold. Well done. And in fact, I think that she's just 1 hex too far away for these enemies to really deal with. And so we have yet again sort of this concern. We've lost one of the Necromancer castles. We've held on to the Barbarian castle. If I'd been able to hold on to that Necromancer castle, I think we would have been much better off in this playthrough. Unfortunately, that was just resources. Resources tended to be a bit of a problem. Maybe if the enemy picks up a magic arrow as a level 1 Mage Guild spell, maybe a spellcaster could have held on to that castle. But even so, that means that the enemy would have had a magic arrow themselves to really do some damage to us. And so now I've made a decision. We're going to send Croto down south as far as Croto can go. These necromancers are trying to bully into my territory. Well, in that case, I'm going to try and send some forces at you from behind. We now don't have any dragons left to purchase, so we've made all of our purchases we possibly could. It's going to be Mangal trying to hold the front here. If we lose this castle, it could be disastrous. It could be several extra days before we can really finish this scenario. So Crag Hack, he's got still more to do. No major losses there. I think I just accept those. I do. But our 4 red dragons are looking mighty fine. There are 3 green dragons in this green tower. So why the enemy isn't making these purchases, I don't know. That's actually really tough to say, because we're going to get all the way over to here to this far western yellow castle. So 4 warlock castles in the snowy north, 2 necromancer castles in the grass, and then my barbarian castle in the desert, and then the one enemy barbarian castle in the cracked earth. We have spotted all the castles that are currently on this map. There's one yellow castle left to go, but we're going to see that the fact that there were still 3 green dragons available in this other castle is really kind of baffling to me, because we're about to be attacked. Yes, we are going to not have to wait for another day to get to attack our foes. We're just going to end up hosting them. We're going to be defending against them here. It says, though, that it's a glorious victory. So with the 3 black dragons that this enemy warlock is sending at us, tell me if you think that having a barbarian here matters or not. 0 attack, 0 defense. We've got 4 attack, 1 defense. It goes an awful long way. I'm looking at this blind and I'm saying to myself, well, I don't know if I want to cast this right now. I would imagine that I would cast it and then the enemy would immediately cleanse it, dispel it, whatever the case may be. So I'm just going to hold on to that for a little bit longer. See the opportunity for a double hex attack here. I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it. That'll prevent a little bit of retaliation damage, but already we've lost 1 red dragon. However, the enemy has lost 3 black dragons, so we're doing mighty fine here. If I could redo this fight, I probably would have blinded you there, and then I would have gone for the centaurs first. I don't think that the damage from the hiders was going to be too particularly bad. 21 damage from the centaurs is all that they're pumping out at the moment, but still, it's the principle of the matter that you deal with those creatures first. We put ourselves in a position where we can retaliate against the Minotaur Kings, and with those 70 HP left on the top stack of dragons, we're going to be doing just fine there. The castle is not completely defeated, though. We still have to defeat that castle, and we will get there in just a moment. And now we can clearly see, though, that here's the problem. Even if we're able to defeat the warlocks in the snowy north, there is some serious strength here with these bone dragons here from the necromancers. Yes, dragons of the flesh are much better than the bone dragons. Of course they are, but that's not the point. The concern is that if we're going to be cleaning these guys up pretty quickly, we need to get south as quickly as possible with quality troops. I'm just skipping here, waiting here. I'm doing 75 points of damage with my lightning bolt. This second lightning bolt is going to take down 1 dragon. There's 4 down to 3. Not too bad. We'll take that. And so we have lost Croto, and yeah, a lot of these heroes are not particularly useful at the moment, but I think that we're going to see pretty quickly that there was an opportunity that FixFox missed. We're going to take a look at that just a little bit. I'll point that out as we get a little bit closer to that. So we do have Celia coming up in this direction. We got these 3 castles. We can't quite reach here with Mandigal or Flint. Yellow player's been defeated. And we do have this castle here with Willow, and you have the question, do you want to upgrade these 3 red dragons? It'll be very expensive because there are the 3 green dragons waiting in this castle here in Blacksford. I do decide not to risk it. Don't waste your gold. The upgrade, you don't need the upgrade in order to beat bone dragons or any of these other necromancer fights. So we're just going to go to this point, and then we're going to do this nice hero chain. Crag hack, he's done his job. Everything he's done has been for the glory of the Empire. We're going to send the means of the enemy's destruction up their way as far as we possibly can. And you got some really, again, cool opportunities for this hero chaining here. It's going to be Rebecca and Sarahkin, both that we end up hiring at some point. At this point, believe it or not, I'm actually looking for a warlock hero. The reason being is that they'll start off with a 4-speed centaur and the 6-speed gargoyle, so they're only going to be as slow as 4-speed creatures at worst. And the sorceresses, they start off with the 2-speed dwarves. If you start off with the halflings, they're 3-speed. Oh, heaven forbid you pick up a knight with a 2-speed peasant or archer. So, we're really trying to maximize here as much as we can. But funny enough, we just saw Ruby in the tavern up there. At some point, Ruby's actually going to be very, very important for the same reason and in the same way that Crag Hack was later. But for now, we're picking up Sarahkin. Right now, the point is all about speed. It's not about anything else. Of course, if you were playing Heroes of Might and Magic 4, you could not do this crazy hero chaining in order to save yourself several days. But these dragons, so long as they're with a hero that has plenty of movement points, they don't care how far they move in one day. I guess. I imagine, though, that those sprites are definitely pretty out of breath. Just like with Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli running across the plains, trying to get Merry and Pippin. Yeah, this is the Great Foot Race at this point, trying to head south as quickly as we possibly can. So Mandigal has had his pressure kind of come off of him, as we did send Croto up through the north, or rather from the north to the south. That actually took us an awful long way. That gave us a lot of relief in the barbarian lands, and that feels pretty darn good. We're going to use Rebecca here kind of as another hero chain. She's not going to spend any of Sarakin's movement points. She's just going to very, very quickly, without any ado, defeat the Bone Dragons. We're going to send those forces back on, and Sarakin's unfortunately not going to be able to reach Charity. This might have been one of those times. Where if you were able to get all of these dragons upgraded into black dragons, and you had 6-speed dragons and no sprites there, you might have been able to reach this Necromancer Castle by the end of the day. And if you had, you might have been able to shave a full extra day off of this playthrough. I think that there's many opportunities where, even though yes, this playthrough is going exceptionally well because it's pretty lucky in a lot of regards, like, yeah, this is going very, very well. And there are still some opportunities to shave off time. Like there's some of those like little microcosms, little instances that make it possible for you to do just a little bit more. So anyway, unfortunately, Rialdo decides to be silly. Rialdo takes the bulk of their forces. They go through some guardians. They stay far away from the dragons as we take the easternmost Necromancer Castle, and then they just head south and they go for the Barbarians. I really wish that they had stayed put. If they had stayed put, we might have been able to defeat them just a little bit quicker than we do here. As it stands, it doesn't cost us too very much, but at this point is where I wish that those heroes in the cracked earth to the west, this is where I wish I'd sent them up the way, so that way we could have combined our forces just a little bit better, and maybe we could have done a better job of keeping the enemy corralled before we had major problems. But so it's going to be Joe Josh is going to try and finish off the purple castle to the west. We're going to send Troyanne the sorceress south as we immediately get rid of Crag Hack, the hero to the north who defeated all of the warlocks. Yeah, I don't care about what you've done for me today. Tell me what you're going to do tomorrow for me. And this is the case I was just talking about. Troyanne with the 2-speed dwarves, we're actually going to dismiss her in favor of Rathmont, knowing that, again, it's only a 2-speed creature difference, but it is enough, in fact, that we're going to use him instead of a sorceress here just to finish off this fight. Sending over artifacts, sure, why not? And then it'll be, again, Rathmont that comes on down, and you can see that we've got a pretty good pincer attack. No major issues. It's month 1, week 2, day 5. This will be day 6. The enemy has taken this castle back, and we are not sure if we want to defeat Rialdo just yet. Necromancers, they're known to have a little bit of combat stats. Just a little bit of combat stats ends up going a long way. And this is where I realized that, oh, I wish I'd had one of my other heroes moved up just a little bit closer along that main road. Then maybe we would not have had to worry so much about not having these red dragons in this fight. If for some reason these green dragons are not able to win the day here, that's going to add at least 2 or 3 days. And this could be 3 bone dragons. This could be more. You're not going to know until you get there. So the last little bit, we're going to be playing as cautiously as we can. When you know that you've got this beat, and you know that you got this one, you want to do this as correctly as you possibly can. We're going to pick up a little bit of defense here. We're going to get both the heroes out of the way. And there's Ruby for the 2 attack, or rather, well, as a defensive hero, as a knight, she's going to have some pretty good stats on her. Yeah, it's going to be the 2 attack, 2 defense. Not to mention the leadership is going to help the mixing of forces. We're going to give her a spell book just in case. Nope, looks like nothing great. She will use the Bloodlust, but only a little bit. And so she will trade dragons and peasants. She will take all these additional forces from Rathmont. She will take the artifacts. And it'll be Ruby that finishes off Rialdo. It says it's a glorious victory with only 1 green dragon, but just to make sure, we will fight this fight. And there it is, folks. With 4 bone dragons, it is very possible that you just lose this fight. We're actually going to have a really cool instance of good morale. And if not for that, who knows? If we didn't have the good morale, and if we do not have the additional stats over this enemy hero here, you could really find yourself in a bit of a tough spot. And here's that good morale right there. In case you wondered if the fight was out of reach for the enemy, that instantly does it for you. It is now 3 green dragons against the 1 bone dragon. We do bloodlust the ogres. They're going to get off some chunk damage. Not enough to take out the bone dragon, but they did the best they could. Happy with the job that they tried to do. And then at this point, clearly, there's not much else to be done except for let the wolves have a little bit of fun, causing hate and discontent wherever they go. And there is a green dragon that is lost there. The ogres are too slow to get into this fight. The dwarves have come up. It's just going to be a matter of double hex attacks wherever you possibly can. And there you have it. Oh, and bad morale just for good measure. So overall, this is the playthrough, and this is the one that I ended up recording. So earlier today I did play Pyramid, and I did it a little bit faster than this one even. And so I had to come back, and I had to keep trying until I could get another opportunity to show it off, because I think that this is a pretty good strategy, and I'm wondering what other strategies there might be available to us. 13 days here on Pyramid, score of 411, rating of a black dragon, as a pretty tremendous score. I'm actually exceptionally happy with that. And comparing this playthrough to the one I had earlier today, in which it took us only 12 days instead of 13 days, they played very similarly. It was the 3 barbarian start that kind of helped get us started. It was the first breakpoint of luck, where we didn't have to actually fight the enemy barbarians for their castle. We also didn't have to fight the necromancers for that first castle. We didn't have to fight the warlocks for that first castle. It's not a failure of the FHeroes2 AI. It's actually playing exceptionally well. This was simply a playthrough where we got some really nice breaks that we don't typically get. Everything from the Guardians to whether or not the AI was accommodating or not. How many restarts did this take to get this sort of a resolution? Well, it took 50, about 50 restarts. Yeah, awful lot has to go right, but for somebody that doesn't like to min-max the game, I hope you can tell that this was still really fun for me to just kind of see and enjoy and have fun with. So with that being said, folks, thank you so much for the time. Thanks for the energy. I'm grateful for all the people that love Heroes of Might and Magic 2. My name is FixFox, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks. Bye-bye.